Hey, it's me again. I'm an author of really good books. You told me to say it that way last time I was in the hot seat. And I'm playing around with, obviously when you write a novel or whatever, you have to have the story arc, which involves a contrast.
And you want it to be vibrationally accurate.
Exactly.
Otherwise it falls apart.
But what I'm not wanting to live the contrast. Like my old method was I would live the novel a little bit and then I would drag myself from that and write a little bit and live a little bit and write a little bit. But I'm finding now I don't want to leave the vortex to do that.
You're going to really like this. When you are consistently on the high-flying disc, it's only a small departure that will give you all the words that you'll ever need.
Okay.
In other words, you don't have to live despair. Esther remembers, this story will speak to exactly what you're talking about. Esther remembers some years ago seeing something on television that was so upsetting to her, she could hardly breathe. And she said to us once she got herself back together, Abraham, what must that feel like to the people that are over there living it? If it feels this bad to me, all this way away, really untouched by it, what must it feel to those who are living it? And we said, you're feeling way worse than they are. Because when you're accustomed to this and you dip, the contrast is significant enough. So you'll find all the pathos you need from the high-flying disc. You don't have to live it chronically. Did that make sense to you?
Yeah.
When you are really used to, in other words, negative emotion is negative emotion, and departure from who you are is departure from who you are. And in other words, humans want to sort the tragedies into piles. The real tragedies and the not so severe tragedies and the sort of not such big problem tragedies, in other words. And some writers believe that in order to really write something that human consciousness will really benefit from, that they've got to really explore the depths of those tragedies. And what we're wanting you to understand is that you're in alignment or you're not, and the emotional scale is the same for everyone, and there is not a deeper grief than the deepest of griefs, no matter what the subject of attention. In other words, Esther plays a game sometimes. She used to play it with Jerry. He'd find a little something that was bothering him, a little bump or something, a little bruise, and Esther would always say, because she liked the one-upsmanship game, oh well, my hangnail hurts worse than that, or in other words, someone would, whenever anyone would talk about something not going well, it was a fun game to point out how much worse it was happening to you. Mm-hmm. And what we're getting at is when you start playing the game in the opposite way, so that you're tuned in all of the time, then you have the clarity and the insight. Why do you think you want to write with pathos anyway?
What do you mean?
Why do you believe that the novel needs contrast?
Well, that leads me to my next question. I feel like I'm going to be part of creating a new genre of some sort where it's spinning up here and less down here and less dipping, to show that you can be up there.
Well, here's the thing.
And I want you to rampage or something about new...
Here's the thing we'd like you to understand. You will find your audience wherever you are. Is there a larger audience on the lower flying disc? Yeah. Is the largest audience on the really low flying disc? No. Is the largest audience on the really high flying disc? No. The largest audience is on the ornery disc, on the overwhelmed disc. Mm-hmm. On the frustration disc. That's where the largest audience is. So you can reach a rather large audience by staying in that range, you see. There are many genres, as you say. There are many. Esther said the other day to her daughter, let's spend time every Wednesday, because she picks her children up from school early on Wednesday. Let's have a family field trip and let's go find high-minded things around the area that we can enjoy. let's explore some beautiful streams, and let's go watch some birds, and let's find some butterfly gardens, and let's go to some botanical gardens, and let's go look at some beautiful pieces of art, and let's go do some things that are really inspired from that high-flying disc, you see. And so we just want you to know that your audience will come from wherever you are. But you want to accomplish the momentum of where you are in order to bring your audience.
Well,
there's a tendency to believe that to want to be in all of the places in order to attract all the people. But the problem with that is you never get enough momentum on any of the discs. This may be one of the most profound things that we've ever said relative to anyone who's wanting to attract anything to anything. In other words, pick your place and become a powerful momentum experiencer of it, and watch what happens.
Well, as a result of a big desire to feel good, which I have now, I don't want to depart. I mean, I'm to the point where I don't even want to ride if that means departing from being up
Why
high.
would you? Why would you? You see, we could understand it, and this is what we're getting at here. We can understand why someone would be all over the emotional map if they believed that their audience, that there was a small audience up here on the high-flying disc. But knowing what we know about momentum, knowing that you can attract all that you would ever want from wherever you are, then we say, don't pick the disc based upon the audience that you think will come. Pick the disc on how it feels to you when you pick it, which is what we said earlier when we said, choose the thought based upon its vibrational content, not based upon its subject matter.
And I think that's, for me, that's clarity, because I love the feeling, even when there's contrast, I love when the clarity comes.
Well, you see, then what you've come across, and it's time for us to take segment of refreshment. We'll talk about it when we come back from segment of refreshment. And that is, you're talking about what Esther really wants us to call the step 4 of this process.
And that was my last part is, can you talk about step 4?
We'll begin there when we come back. Good time for a segment of refreshment.
Thank you.
So bring us back around.
Well, we were talking about being high flying, and as a rider, having to dip down. And on the break, I was discussing with my friends down here about feeling like now, like it used to be that I would be tethered to whatever lower emotion, and as I went higher, I was being pulled back if there was a pull. But now it's like I'm wanting to be tethered up here,
really good,
and dip
really
down,
good.
And then assuring that the tether's going to pull me back up.
So we love that. We love that way of saying it, and we want you to understand that that really is what's happening when we say to you that you were source energy and that you still are. When you withdraw your attention from this time-space reality, that tether will bring you right back there. We just don't think you should have to croak to do that. And in the same way, it's what we're explaining to you, that when you meditate, it's like the cork is bobbing up on the surface of the water. You can hold it under the water, which is what negative emotion is, but when you let go of that thought, it will bob right back to the surface. So that tether applies there as well. And so and when you wake up in the morning, that's where it is, unless unless you do something else. Yes,
that's like my only hope. At this point, is waking up in the morning.
You made a very powerful statement as we were moving into segment of refreshment about what you wanted from step 4, and what you were reaching for is you want to be so tethered, which only means so practiced, which only means so much momentum, giving more airtime to what feels good than to what feels bad, so that's what's dominant for you. And then from that place of being predominantly there, still being exposed to contrast that causes you to ask for more. Because asking for something beyond what you've currently experienced from a place of non-resistance is so delicious. That's how you felt when you first came into this physical experience. It's how you feel when you're little. It's that when we begin each time one of these gatherings and we say to you, do you know what you want? Are you knowing what you are wanting? It's that fresh desire that we are wanting to induce within you, that feeling of desire with no resistance that is compromising it. And the stronger the desire, then the more uncomfortable resistance feels. So when you've practiced the absence of resistance so that you're allowing the desires that you've been establishing to remain brightly focused in the absence of the fog that your resistance has put there, then it's like just beginning to live your life in the way that you intended when you came.
It feels like I'm free to dip because I'm tethered. And when
we love the words that you're offering.
When I dip down even lower, I'm finding, like, if there's contrast that I'm tethered to that is negative, while I'm down there, I'm like cutting these ties. Like, it's the same as the pipes where you're laying new pipes.
We like the analogy that you're offering.
But the tether is like cutting old tethers and remaining tethered up
We
there.
like the analogy. So instead of saying you're dipping down or you've dipped down, could you say I'm free to explore now? Yeah. I'm so solid in my alignment that I'm free to explore. I'm so solid in my alignment that problems don't upset me because they just set me up for solutions, which is what expansion are. I'm so tethered to well-being that unanswered questions don't disturb me, because an unanswered question is just opening up a lovely journey to an answer. I'm now understanding this process of life that I've always been about. Mm-hmm. Really good discussion.
That's it.
Yeah, really good.
Thank you.